let's go to our first panel discussion of today, the Sustainable Manufacturing Forum. So let me introduce you to our two guests for this. First of all, Rodney Duran, Area Vice President, Manufacturing Practice Head, L&T Technology Services. And also joining us, Sean Wu, the former SVP of Manufacturing and Supply Chain APAC at 3M. Hello to both of you, how are you?
Good morning,
Good.
everyone. Yes, good.
Good morning.
Yeah, great to see you both. I've been looking forward to this panel actually because sustainable manufacturing, well, frankly, we could fill an entire show with this particular subject. So we're going to do our best to fit it into 45 minutes if we can. I'll just remind the audience, do keep your questions coming. We've had a very, very motivated and chatty audience today, so I'll weave in as many of those questions as I can. Right, let's start with impact if we can. And I'd love to know some examples from both of you about some of the best strategies you've both seen for reducing manufacturing's environmental impact. Sean, if I could start with you, your choice of strategies there, which ones do you see have had the biggest impact?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So I would say if you ask me about all this sustainability, environmental impact, I want to start with waste, right? In the manufacturing world, how the company think about waste is very important strategy in your manufacturing, right? Waste can save your costs, waste can reduce your scraps, right? Waste can reduce your energy through the manufacturing process, waste can save your time, all those. So I would say most important strategy connect to this environmental impact sustainability is to reduce the waste. The second piece, I would say, as a manufacturing, right, always think about what kind of new technology you can invest to improve your manufacturing efficiency, right? When you improve your manufacturing efficiency, you improve your yield, then you can reduce all the waste, then you can help the environment.
Rodney?
Yeah, I have to strongly agree with Sean saying. I think, I see it twofold as well. So there's the waste part, and that's what's exiting the process, and then it's the process itself and how you manufacture your product. I believe that today's working environment, a lot of older equipment is still being used, and that's great, right? Because you fully vested, so therefore you kind of get your maximum value out of it. The disadvantage of that is there's been so much progress in technology that sensorizing a machine and really monitoring key parameters will make the use of any energy conversion into a product more efficient. And we need to think in those terms. I help a lot of people to do that on a regular basis. And I see equipment that's out there, 60, 70, 80 years. And it's great. I mean, it works. But, it does, you're paying that price. And of course, then you produce the waste, But again, I absolutely agree. I mean, we have to go to high efficiency equipment, and it's worth the investment.
Yeah, you tend to know if a bit of machinery in a factory or a plant has got its own name, its own pet name, it's probably been there a little bit too long. Rodney, if we can expand on that though, because if we found an area such as waste where there's a great impact to be had, how can it be scaled effectively? How can that area be really grown and improved? Rodney, if I can start with you on that, how can we scale that?
So once you identify, it's typically your Pareto is what you want to do of a site where you go, okay, this is the one that's creating the most waste. And you look at the process in detail. We have found that, again, the worst conversion of energy is changing it from electricity to heat, right? That's your maximum waste. When you go a little bit more efficient, then you go with gas or steam or, other generators of heat. But what some people oversee is that because of the equipment state, the energy loss is very high. So, the easiest one is to see an oven, right? So the ovens, when you walk around an oven area and the heat is unbearable and for the working environment, that means that the heat loss is significantly high. And perhaps we haven't done the best job for insulating that unit. That doesn't always happen. It's not always that case, But I would think in the majority of the cases, that's what I see. So that's just a matter of adding insulation or changing the equipment. Now, capital investment, before it was a must. I think today we don't have to go to the serious capital investment states because we can sensorize equipment, right? So that's something I've been preaching for a while here, where I'm saying, okay, guys, let's put a let's put a pressure sensor, let's put a temperature sensor here. We could monitor how much humidity we do have in the area, and how do we connect our equipment to an MES, to a manufacturing execution system that is clean, and it will give us live data so that we set parameters, and the second that happens, we can react. I believe the best way to address waste is at its source. So if you can reduce it there, then for sure it's going to happen, right? And if the equipment stops immediately once it's down and it turns everything off, so the energy conservation mode is almost a mindset that we need to teach. Not only, it's not just machine changes, right? Because you have to teach your maintenance team, you have to teach your operators on, look, we need to think very, efficiency should be part of their daily bread. So we have to taste it. We have to be sure that we're there. And I don't know. I believe I'm trying to answer your question shortly. So hopefully I did.
Absolutely. And I am going to come back to that mindset and that culture in just a moment, Rodney. Sean, if I can come to you about the scaling question. We were talking about waste there and other high impact areas. How can that be scaled effectively to maximize that impact?
So, first I agree with what Rodney said. So the way I summarize the waste, right? So first, I am sure that today most of manufacturing company or environments adopt the Lean Six Sigma, right? Those kind of concept, lean concept. So then you look at the waste. Normally in the manufacturing world, you can find out these process waste and the materials waste, right? So you can apply all the tools, process, and your strategy, encourage your team to look for the opportunity to reduce the waste. And in terms of scaling, right? Then your company need to also have a platform allow you to share those findings towards similar operations across your global operations. This is exactly what 3M is doing, what ETEM is doing, all the most company I work for, they're doing that, right? There's a platform, how to effectively share those best practices, right? This is where you can scale this, right? And also back to when you mentioned a little bit, right? The waste is from beginning, right? When you design the product, design the manufacturing process, you also think about what's the best way to design product, then end up you have less materials waste through your manufacturing process, right? So I say through the design, through your Lean Six Sigma, through your lean strategy, then you can able to scale all the waste reduction throughout your entire manufacturing facilities. I hope this answers your questions.
Absolutely, sure.
Scale.
Yeah. Absolutely. If we can just return to the question of culture and mindset that you alluded to very briefly to there, Rodney. Now, something like that, it's not easy. Everyone wants that kind of mentality within their manufacturing operation. From what you've seen, people you've worked with, companies you've come into contact with, how are the best ways of actually creating that kind of culture and atmosphere within a manufacturing operation to make sure that sustainability and environmental consciousness are front and center? Rodney, your experience on that?
Well, most of us are driven by goals, right? So that's where we have our key performance indicators. So typically it's a KPI, it's a performance and objective of individuals, right? So it's not just in top bottom display. So I believe if we have good key performance indicators that show what this consumption is or what the waistlines are, the waste processes are, and we measure them, then we start having a real handle on it. It cannot be hypothetical. When it's hypothetical, then it's, they call us tree huggers. This guy doesn't. We need to have firm objectives. Once we have these firm objectives that do tell us, okay, so today's consumption of energy is X, and if we implement the following processes and we make these changes, we should expect an improvement. And if that improvement doesn't happen, that means that what we implemented is not good enough, right? It makes us feel good. I mean, I don't know how many people say, oh yeah, we did this, we did that. I say, oh, okay. This is all about being seriously efficient, right? So we should see that benefit. Now, in waste management, I mean, there's people that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes a month, just disposing of their waste because of the composition of that waste, right? So when you reduce the composition, when you change the composition, it could be treated in a different way. It could be declassified as, hazardous waste. So there's a lot of actions that can be done, and you can establish a reward system, right? So that's what we've done in many places where we say, okay, this is what we feel can be done. We take, we don't eat the elephant all at once. We try to bite size it. Okay, let's do this first. Let's do this second. We believe these have the higher impact, and then those pay for the rest. So that's how we address it.
Sean?
Yeah. So the Ronnie mentioned about goal setting, I fully agree, right? So, but then I will go to, if you're talking about manufacturing, right, the waste always connect to we call CI, continuous improvements, right? When you are able to elevate your culture of continuous improvement, they can reduce your waste, right? You go to the waste, then you're talking about specific target, what Ronnie just mentioned, right? You're talking about equipment process, you have OEE, right? You have very clear data, measure what's your uptime of the equipment with all these actions, how much you can improve months over months, right? Each year of your equipment. When you go to materials waste, then you have the yield target, very clear, right? So each month you measure it, connect to your financials, you make these visibles, connect to the projects, right? As Ronnie also mentioned, right? That then give the recognition to the teams, right? So to me, this should be a cycle, right? In the manufacturing world, right? This is not like a one-time events. This should be part of everyone's day-to-day job. Even for us as a leader, when we visit the facility, always my interest is show me. I always tell my teams, right? When I visit any facility, my most interesting things is walk through the shop floor. You show me all your projects, what you have done, explain to me, show me what physical materials, scrap waste you reduce, machine downtime waste you reduce, right? This is the way from target setting, from project, from day-to-day standard work, then connect to leader behaviors. We enforce it. Then this really can make the whole culture change on the waste reductions.
That's an excellent way of approaching it. Where I want to take things next are some of the challenges and blockers you see from across the industry of achieving genuinely sustainable manufacturing. Sean, if I could start with you on this one, what are the main challenges, what are the main hurdles you see that are stopping organisations achieving really effective sustainable manufacturing environments?
I would say that's a great question. So I would say the first challenge I always have to deal with is I call investment versus return, right? So many of the sustainable so-called actions require investments. Whether you invest a new machine like Ronnie mentioned, right? Some facility use very old machines, right? So it's not energy efficient. You want to replace them, right? Sometimes you have new refuel solutions, but initial investment can be big, right? Then you have renewable energy solutions like a solar, all those they also have upfront investments. So I would say my experience, always the largest challenge is get the financial support for initial investments. But I'm not saying this is impossible, right? This is also, it depends on each facility leaders, how you justify those, then how the company linked sustainable initiative into their financial plan. For example, right? Some of the company, will put a certain budget aside to support those so-called equipment upgrades. Because they realize, right, if you use 20 years old equipment, right, you still can run the product, that's okay. But the equipment may not be efficient, right? Then you look at all the financial returns, right? You can improve the uptime, you can reduce all the scraps. Probably it's good enough for you to justify a new machines. So I noticed many companies, they found different ways to overcome these challenges. But my experience that the financial short-term, long-term return investments, those will be is the largest challenge to so-called continue invest in the sustainable manufacturing.
That's a great starter, Sean. Rodney, I'll come to you on that one, those challenges. Anything you'd add to investment? Any other challenges?
Yeah, so return on investment is always a problem, right? When you have to spend a significant amount of money, right? So I feel it has to be part of the company's roadmap, right? So when you're saying, okay, we have a commitment and we're going to do this, right? So once you make that commitment, you can't make a commitment without money, right? So you have to come and say, okay, so we're going to dedicate X amount, X%. So, senior management has to make that decision saying, okay, wait, we are citizens in this world, right? So if we're creating issues with our manufacturing process, then we could have a blind eye to it, or we can say, no, we're going to do something about it, right? So if it's planned, I think, when it's more difficult for me. I mean, we're at the end of year. I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, okay, we have this budget, we got to spend this or we're going to lose this money. So I think most companies do have the financial capacity to take it on. So for me, it's more, maybe it has to be priority, right? And indeed, something that has an ROI of 5 years, 10 years, it's a hard pill to swallow, right? But what I tell my team is like, okay, we can't do that. That's not going to fly, period. We got to think of a different way. I mean, we're engineers, for heaven's sakes. Let's come up with a better approach. There has to be a way. And I've noticed that whenever I have put pressure the right way on my team and say, no, we have to come up with a better solution. And then somebody will, what if we do this? Or we do a combination of things. I mean, I know for sure it's never a silver bullet. It's not just one process that's going to fix your waste stream. It's always a combination of events, from product design and changes, materials, process adjustments. The whole, lean manufacturing approach to it is really what results in that additional financial reward that will motivate, the C-suite people to say, yeah, okay, let's do it.
That moves me on quite nicely to a question I wanted to look at later when it comes to investment. We're looking to balance the cost of sustainable practice with the long-term benefits that you mentioned there, Sean. Financial incentives, do they come into play? How valuable are they to help manufacturers actually realise some of these benefits? Should they play a bigger role? Should there be more of them? What are our thoughts on that? Sean, if I can start with you again there.
Sure. Yeah, when I think about these questions, so first I agree with Ronnie said, right? This has to be connect as part of company overarching strategy, support all these sustainabilities, right? That's why most company will have certain budget to support that, right? Then when you have the budget, then you need that in the company continue to drive your culture, right? On the sustainabilities. Right, to allocate the engineering time, think about product design, think about your day-to-day KPIs. Make sure you have certain strategy KPIs connect to sustainabilities, right? Then I will say sustainability not always use money, right? Sometimes the money just for investments. In many cases, you see the good return as well. Even this will take a little bit longer time, right? So you will see the reward from financial as well. And also in addition to that, there's many countries, right? For example, right now I live in Singapore, right? Singapore government has been doing fantastic job, right? Work with the company, say if there's any sustainable projects, even government is willing to co-invest into those ideas to help the company overcome initial huge financial challenges. So as I say, there's many ways to overcome the long-term challenges for the investment returns, but many companies, C-suites or senior leaders fully aware, and you always can, work with local authority. Even there's many solution outside as well, right? I noticed some of the company in doing kind of those business, for example, right, talking about solar, right? So some companies say, yeah, there's too much investment for me to put all my solar panel on my roof. But right now, the solution out there, some people will put for you, then they will share the benefit with you. So then you have less upfront investment, then you still can continue to drive your sustainable manufacturing, then you can continue to drive those projects. So with that said, today you need to have connection with your company overall strategies, then you need to continue to leverage a different solution, either support from government or from the third parties.
Yeah, Sean, hold that thought on solar and renewables. I'll be coming to that next. Rodney, if I can come back to you on the financial incentives and the balance of costs and long-term benefits. What are your thoughts on there? Are there enough financial incentives in play to help people?
Yeah, that is indeed a great question. I have always admired Singapore's approach to support their manufacturing, right? So the Singapore government has made it a very, very clear move on okay, we need to run our country very, very efficiently, right? So, I mean, again, not because Sean is here, but I've always thought that. And I always noticed that, even at my time at Baxter, they would invite me over to go participate in just a conversation because they wanted to understand where Baxter was headed, and they wanted to know some information about it and understand what our true needs are. So if we just focus on one technology, then we're losing the point, right? Because as I stated really early in our conversation, it's not just about the source of energy that's being consumed. That can be reduced, right? So if there's reducing the consumption of energy, for me, is a major focus. It's like, that's where I want to go. If I can reduce material content, that's where I want to go, right? And I mean, I have my kids ask me all the time, Dad, why does this have a whole bunch of holes? I said, because that's how we reduce material content. It doesn't need to be a solid part. It could have all these holes. And guess what? It has an immediate impact on material consumption and therefore waste whenever it is thrown away, right? Anyway, but I think some countries get it and are partnering with us. I think that's if it's truly a partnership when we are both listening to what can be done, I think that's when the incentives is a bonus. When it's just one way agenda, it doesn't really work. Okay, and it could work. I could have 1,000 roofs with solar panels. Okay, great. But if I'm just throwing all that stuff away, then it's all right. Yeah, I did decrease my energy consumption. Yes, check. But I'm still having the waste. I still have the output that is not what we want, right? So that balance, I don't think a lot of us talk about that balance, because we're brutally focused on one or the other, but we rarely, people like Sean and myself, really are trying to look at the whole thing and go, can we can do this, right? It's possible if we have people on the government side that are willing to work with us. But again, Singapore is a great model that I would recommend.
It's a fine example, absolutely. I said we'd get on to renewables, so let's do that now, because it's something that's come up a few times in various answers already. So let's take a look at that. How do you feel manufacturing industries can shift towards renewable energy sources like solar, like wind, and so on? What are the main challenges? What are the best solutions you've seen? Rodney, I'll start with you on this one. Where do we sit on renewables for you?
I think
So
as of
there is-
today, was it me or
Starting with you, Rodney, please, on this one.
Okay. I'm sorry, sir. So I don't think people don't understand what it is, right? So I mean, I don't think anyone that's listening doesn't understand the amount of effort that it takes to, install a solar electrical system or hydraulic or turbine. I mean, there's so many things that we can do. I think it's just a matter of truly understanding. So maybe people have taken it on themselves. I mean, there's significant amount of people. I mean, of course, I got to put a plug in for my company, but that we can come in and we can do a real true assessment and really identify what is the best option for you. I think I already said it previously. It's not a silver bullet. There's not one solution for things. We need to really evaluate what is the need. I mean, do they have water streams? Can we go, what can be done has to be very tailored to the location and site and the site requirements. When we just go out and do things just to standardize now, and I don't want to criticize standardization. Standardization is not a bad thing, right? I do have a client that he said, wait a second, they work in I'm not going to mention their name. They're in Juarez, Mexico. Juarez, Mexico is part of a desert, right? So what do they have? They have sun most of the time, right? Their cars were baking. So they decided to, okay, let's put solar panels on the parking lot. So we'll do 2 for 1. We're now creating a parking spot for our employees that is shaded. And then on top of that, we're capturing some electricity. So you see, that's a fun and nice way to do it. So they provided that service. So that's the creativity that we need more of, so that we can adopt these things. Because again, implementing it and installing it, that's not where the work is. That's simple, really, in my mind. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Sean, over to you, please, on renewables.
Yeah, I just add a few more things. Rodney said very well. So what I'm thinking the trending today, right? It's from 2 angles I would comment, right? First things from the product design. So right now the company start really thinking about reduce the waste, even talking about product life cycle recycle, right? Right now we are talking about recycle economies. How we can design a product, then look at the whole life cycle can be recycled, right? I'm not expert in this, but I noticed that even I was seeing a few company, they are talking about this a lot these days in the product design. Then go to the manufacturing process, right? I really like the one point we just discussed. We want to challenge our engineers. When we design a manufacturing process, right? But a new manufacturing process, we want to challenge our engineers, think about is any way to help us one to reduce the manufacturing cycle time, in the same time can think about reduce the waste, right? Think about reduce the energy consumption. I give you one example, right? In one of the 3M manufacturing process, this is not IP, I think I put very generic. So normally it's make the tape, right? Once you coat all the adhesives, then you need curing those tapes, right? The tradition most of taping the manufacturer will have few 100-meter long ovens, right? You can see the ovens are very hot heat, right? So then, the engineer come up a new process, different curing method, right? In one side, they can help improve the capacity, right? Capacity also very important for manufacturing. For 50% to support the future growth. In the same time, they reduce the whole oven length by 50%. You can imagine, right? So they hit both. Improve the efficiency, expand the capacity, then reduce half of their energy consumptions. So that's why I say we want to continue challenge our engineer. We have a lot of smart engineers these days, right? Challenge them, think about, how we can design those, all the efficiency, waste, environmental, those kind of solutions into any new manufacturing process, into any new product design. This is what I want to add.
I'll just add on to both of what you've said there. One thing that keeps on coming up is it's constant evaluation, because you can have a wonderful sustainability strategy, you can put it out, it can have a beautiful cover with swaying corn on the front, and you go, right, done, we've got a great sustainability strategy. That's us for a year, done. How important is it there is constant evaluation of your sustainable manufacturing performance, whether it's the technology you use, monitoring the machines, the product design? How crucial is it there's a constant loop of evaluation to look for improvements? Sean, I'll start with you on this one.
Sure.
How vital is it there is that constant evaluation and desire for improvement?
Yeah, my answer is yes. So I can think about the first things we need to think about. Sustainability is have a lot to do with all the regulations, right? And have a lot to do with technology. So that's why constant review your strategy is very important, because even we talk about Singapore, I'm sure China, Korea, Japan. I used to live in US, right? So each country will have different kind of policy, regulation connect to the sustainabilities, right? These first things, right? Sustainability is talking about waste, or talking about dealing with some chemicals, right? Talking about dealing with different material, so dealing with energies, right? So you need your strategy need to always reflect what's a new policy or regulation happening in those countries, right? Second things, right? During the renew, you also want to have chance to see your strategy, whether it's really take advantage of any new technology out there in the marketplace, right? Some of the technology may not be exist a couple of years ago, but today exists. Then you can apply this into your strategy to help. I would say the constant review is very essential to reflect those, right? Adjust these, continue to improve your strategies.
Rodney, if I can come to you on that.
Yeah, I think the mature organizations in manufacturing, we have definitely understood that if we don't constantly review our process, we'll become a dinosaur and be very uncompetitive, and our product quality is going to drop like no tomorrow, right? So we absolutely that mentality of continuous improvement has to be embedded in everybody's mind, especially the leaders, right? I've mentioned, I'm a huge supporter of roadmaps. I think roadmaps actually help remove the pet project approach, right? So what I mean by that is when I'm the senior VP. Okay, so people are gonna do what I want, because I'm I'm the one signing their checks, right? Theoretically. But when that's not the case, so it's my project. So it's, oh, that's Rodney's pet project. So we're doing it just because, yeah, I wasn't effective on saying or communicating, oh, this pet project that you're calling, it has this impact and it's going to be here and it's part of this plan. Oh, so when it becomes part of a plan and but becomes part of that roadmap, then you say, okay, so here we are. I mean, the goals typically, I mean, we adjust them, right? So every year we're going to go and look at our plan and say, okay, this is where we are. This is where we want to be when we grow up. How much of that gap are we covering, and how long is it going to take us? We said it was going to take us, I don't know, 5 years, 3 years. Okay, where are we? Are we still in its infancies? We haven't done enough. Oh, we're on track. Oh, can we do a little bit more? Can we push ourselves a little bit more? I mean, that's what I would do. Yeah, we could push ourselves a little bit more. Maybe we could do this and that. Okay, perfect. And then it gets embedded into the culture. So really that approach to be very successful on constantly being reviewing what your goals are as far as, energy and for that matter, almost anything else. But when it's part of a true roadmap that the board embraces, and it's everybody, it's the quality guy, it's the manufacturing guy, it's the operations guy. Oh, so it's not my pet project. I think we fail sometimes because we get so passionate about it, and then they think, oh no, this is his pet project. The second I get moved and okay, no, I want you to go run this other company in this other place, then forget that. Oh, we don't have time for that, because again, that meant that they did not understand what the impact was and the long-term benefits really. So again, I'm a strong supporter of a roadmap that will help do that.
Absolutely. Love your perspective on that. Particularly, we all know the influence having the C-suite involved in that roadmap can have. It's always a shock why that happens. Let's go to audience questions. They're coming in thick and fast, so let's cover off a few of those if we can. Let's start with Joanne Harold. Hi, Joanne. Thank you for your question. I'll start with you, Sean, on this one. What do you observe as the biggest driver for sustainability? Is it stakeholder pressure? Is it competitor pressure? Government pressure? Financial or government support? What do you feel is that biggest driver for sustainability in manufacturing?
That sounds it's difficult questions. Yeah, but I would say all of those, right? So from a different angle, I will answer this is, right? When you build up your manufacturing, or even build up your business need to have a purpose, right? I always share with my friends, right? Purpose is something beyond how much money you make, right? Whether you hit your goals, right? Purpose meaning your business, your manufacturing plant is care about environments, care about your communities, right? Care about your societies, right? Care about futures. So that's why it to me is almost right. So from your stakeholders, from your local governments, because your local government, you need to comply to all the regulations, right? So as I just mentioned, right, why you need to refresh your strategy, because each country, they may say this year I don't want any manufacturing have this kind of discharge, right? We want to reduce to this level of the emissions, right? Then I'm very sure stakeholder will want the organization also have certain, responsibility on environments, on sustainability, where we meet their requirement, and we also need to respond for our society, for our employees. So this is why my answer is I can't pick one of those. I would say we work sustainability for all the stakeholders, right? Which are whether it's our company, biggest boss, for the governments, for our employee, and for our societies.
Yes, a huge combination. Rodney, I'd assume you agree with that to a degree. It's a whole combination of factors.
I think it's summarized on purpose. When you have the purpose, you always have to meet the other things, right? It's there. I mean, if it's a regulation, it's not optional, it's a regulation. So I think if you're thinking, so probably the people that struggle more with sustainability is because they feel it's an obligation rather than a purpose. So I love what Sean said, right? So when it's purpose, again, we're citizens here, right? So we're supposed to be that way. When something new happens and it's brought to us and it's oh, but this is going to have this impact. And I go, so no, why are we doing that? Oh no, it's what's needed. No, we need to find a way to not do that. Again, I mean, we both stated, I mean, there's extremely bright people in this world that work in our teams, that they can do it, right? They just need to be challenged properly, and they will come up with the right ways. It's not going that route. If this is going to make things even more difficult, it's going to impact environmentally, why would I do this? No, we definitely can't do that. But again, it's really all the way in, right? It's purpose. When your purpose is true, meeting those regulations or using incentives, it's second nature. It's like, okay, yeah, this is the route we need to go. Oh, we got to go this other route.
Absolutely, focus
what I
on
would
that purpose. Absolutely. Just go for one more question from the audience before I look to wrap things up with one final question about the future. This question here, no name attached to it. Do say who's getting in touch, just so we can say hello. What sustainability strategy would you both like to see adopted by more companies? Another tricky question. Rodney, if I can start with you on that one. What sustainability strategy would you like to see adopted by more companies?
So, I mean, there's so many, right? So when we look, I mean, I think I had like a whole list here of different types of technologies that we could be using. So, sorry, that means I have another meeting coming up. Additive manufacturing is a good way to test and explore these real complex configurations of material where we use less material, right? So for me, I always think, okay, can we use less to do the same thing? Can we use less? Can the process be shorter? Can the material be less? So if you have that mindset, I mean, I'm like going back to purpose. So those are the mindsets that our designers have to have. Okay, why am I making this so beefy? Yeah, okay, yeah, well, it has to withstand this pressure, that pressure. Okay, I get it. Okay, fine. No. Can you do this with 50% of the material? You know, really challenge people so that, okay, maybe they needed 60. Okay, but now all of a sudden we just saved 40%, right? I like it when it's multi-purpose. Okay, so what's the life of this product afterwards, right? I mean, there's a significant amount of our clients that the way that they're packaging their material, that packaging is so well done that it's used again at homes, and they use it to save things, and they put flour in it or cookies or crackers or whatever, and you know some of us use it for tools. So it's that multi-purpose mentality of, okay, this product, once it's done, look, it could use this. So maybe those are the two big things where you're thinking, okay, can I do this with less, and can it have a multi-purpose after its initial use, right?
Yeah, a lot of smart product design in there as well. Sean, I'll come to you for a final word on this. What sustainability strategy would you like to see adopted by more companies from your experience?
Yeah, actually, I got a chance to read a couple company strategy. Right? I will not say most of those companies have the right strategy for them, but when read those company strategy, right, or focus area, right, whether you're talking about my last two employers, 3M or Eaton or Baxter, whatever. So when I look at their strategy, right, they just always have few things in their strategy being written, right? How they reduce the landfills, right? Then how they measure their greenhouse gas emissions, how they manage the water consumption in those companies, right? The company always have very clear measures, and also talking about energy efficiency. In the same time, notice this couple of companies, whether Eaton or 3M, they start to really put more a clear strategy being written in their corporate even mission around the product design developments, how their business or their product can help improve the sustainability, right? Where they're talking about 3M have multiple different product, right? Filtration, all those can help improve the water quality, right? Then the Eaton also, the many company, they have those, right? The stuff from product, and also they put a very clear the measurements focus area in their core vision statements. In the same time, they also allocate enough budget into I call R&Ds, right? For them to continue develop new manufacturing process or the product solution to connect to the sustainability. So as a short summary, I don't think any single company have done everything, right? They normally each company would develop their strategy to fit what type of product they are in, what kind of business they are in, what kind of manufacturing process they have.
As we were saying earlier, there is no silver bullet, unfortunately. Well, I'm afraid we are just about out of time. And as you were saying there, Rodney, I think you have another meeting coming up, so I will let you escape. We've covered a huge amount of ground in a very short space of time. We didn't get a chance to get onto future trends, impact of AI. We could have kept going on all afternoon, but unfortunately, we are out of time. Rodney, Sean, thank you so much for your time and your company. Really enjoyed our conversation here at Manufacturing and Mobility Live.
Thank you. And I'm actually going to be speaking in a couple of hours.
Exactly.
So I'll get to deep dive a little bit more onto sustainable manufacturing.
Yes, the return of Rodney 2.0 coming back a little bit later. Sean, thank you. Rodney, thank you.
All right, guys.
Really enjoyed your company.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay.